Hi, my name is Jim Strutz and I teach Bible. And I've been pondering this scripture from Matthew chapter 16 verse 21. And he says, "From this time Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things with the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and on the third day be raised." But then Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." And I'm thinking, well, if that didn't happen, we would all be in a pickle. This was the best thing to happen for Peter, for Jesus to go to the cross and die and be raised. But Peter didn't see that at the time. The truth is, we seldom see what's good for us. We seldom see the good plan of God, and we actually often reject the good plan of God because we don't see the benefit. We don't see the good in it. We just see how difficult it is. And it's not what we want. It's like we can't see past our fear or can't hear past our own desires. And you know, it's not the only thing we have a hard time with. We also have a hard time hearing God when He warns us to not do something. He warns us to stay away from things. And so I was thinking about Acts chapter 27, where Paul is arrested and he's being taken to Rome for his trial, and he's being escorted to Rome on a ship by a Roman guard. And the Roman guard, he tells the Roman guard, "We shouldn't get on this ship because I know that this ship is going to suffer a shipwreck, and it's going to be a dire consequence, and we don't want to be on that boat when it happens." And of course, the Roman soldier, he doesn't want to hear that. He just wants to get this job done. And so he makes Paul get on the ship. And sure enough, they had a shipwreck, and everybody suffers. It's always to their own peril. We choose to live life. Most of us choose to live life the way we want to, in spite of the warnings of God. And it is always to our own peril. For decades, preachers and prophets have been warning America against its slide into moral decay. And we preach against abortion, sexual deviancy, or racial violence. And our culture says, no, these things are good. This is justice. But God says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You can put salt in a sugar dispenser, but it's still not going to be sweet. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is what it is, and evil is still evil. You wonder sometimes, will America ever turn from God? And how far into this chaos will God let us fall and let us slide before He jerks our chain and pulls us back? How much damage are we going to suffer from the fallout before we turn? Already we are suffering, at least to some extent, we're suffering under the passive judgment of God. It's not the active judgment of God. It's not where God is actually calling down fire from heaven. But He's removed His favor, He's removed His protection, at least to some degree. And when that happens, even the godly suffer when wicked people and wicked things are put in charge. You consider just some of the deplorable facts going on in the United States with our youth. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in young people in America. Isn't that an amazing thing? The second leading cause of death in America. Over 700 teenage girls get an abortion every day in America. Every day. There's 25,000 new sexually transmitted disease cases found every day in America's youth. Are we doomed? It seems like we're doomed, but no, we're not doomed. The truth is, God's mercy triumphs over His judgment. But it's hard to keep the faith. It's hard to keep confidence. But Psalms 27 says, I would have lost heart, I would have fainted, I would have given up unless I believed. Unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's hard to hold the hope, but don't fall into fear that's based on the virus or the who the president is, or who the Congress is going, or which way it's going, or the wars, or our economy might be failing. All kinds of things to worry about. Don't fall into those fears. Hebrews 10:35 says, do not throw away your confidence. Don't throw away your confidence, which has a great reward attached to it. For you have need of endurance, that patient endurance, so that when you have finished doing the will of God, you will receive the promise that God has promised to us. We need to put our trust in God. It's just that basic. If Peter had his way, Jesus wouldn't have died. There would have been no resurrection. And we would be in a mess. What looked to Peter like utter defeat was actually the method God used to bring about victory. And I believe He'll do the same for us. I believe what looks like defeat now, God will use to bring victory shortly. But in the meantime, remember that God doesn't save you from the fiery furnace. God saves you in the fiery furnace. And the chaos in America is likely to continue for a while. But remember that God is in charge. Put your faith, put your trust in Him. Hey, if you're in Anchorage, you should come visit us at Watch This Church on Thursday nights. We meet at 6:30 p.m. And more details can be found at our website, watchthis.church. Watchthis.church. Hope to see you there. Meanwhile, keep the faith. God bless.